racking my brain a little bit of like trying to find any way to make this project happen. And it's almost like I already kind of knew that story because I would reach out to you guys and be like, hey, how's it coming along? And you guys are always very quiet about where things were. It's really truly indie story.
Yeah, I think the quietness comes from a place of we knew we couldn't give anything positive, any positive information to anyone in those like really shit times, and we knew we couldn't give up on Routine. So it's not like we could say, "Oh, it's dead," and then just come back later on in a few years and here it is, because we just couldn't let go. The idea of saying it was done, we just couldn't. So we just kept our heads down and we're just hoping that we could pull this off. We were just hoping we could figure it out.
Hello and welcome to this next episode of Beyond the Pixels. My name is Nick Calandra, the editor-in-chief of Second Wind. So for this week, I got to speak with Aaron Foster and Jemma Hughes. They are two of the three developers on Routine, a game that I have been covering since 2012. In 2012, I would have been a junior in high school when I was covering that game, and I was running one of my very first sites called Only Single Player or Only SP. And I've kept tabs on this game for years because it just seemed like one of those indie games that was punching above its weight when it was announced. Like the trailer, if you were to go back and watch it today, if it's still up, looked really ambitious for the time for such a small group of people working on it. And I have kind of checked in with Aaron and Jemma, either every year or every other year just to kind of see how they're doing and how the game is coming along. And for years they were radio silent. You hadn't heard a thing about the game. And then last year at Summer Game Fest, all of a sudden a trailer for the game reappeared, and it was like, oh, it's coming out next year. And oh, it's published by Raw Fury. And I remember just seeing that trailer and being shocked that it was coming out. And now we've played it, and it's kind of surreal to have played a game that I was covering when I was still a kid, basically. And here I am in 2025 and 30 years old, and a good chunk of life has come and gone at this point. And now I have played and beaten Routine, and it's a really good game. It's really impressive how it came together. And what's even more impressive is the development journey and story behind this game, because it's really a story of just three people that just had to see this game come to fruition. Those types of games are my favorite types of games to cover as a games journalist, of just like these indie passion projects that you see and struggle, not that I enjoy them struggling, but kind of knowing the struggle they went through to get to make their dream project. That's something I really relate with all the things we've worked on in games media and how hard, we've worked to build this business. And I love seeing indie developers like realize their dreams. I was really glad to finally get to speak with Aaron and Jemma, because like we just haven't I've never done like a live interview with them. I've emailed them, we've done text interviews, but I've never actually gotten on a call with them. So, really come full circle on this whole thing. So hope you enjoy the interview, and don't forget to subscribe to Beyond the Pixels on either YouTube or your audio platform of choice. And if you want to ad free, it's $5 on Patreon every month. All right. Well, welcome, guys. I'm really excited to finally have you on this brand new podcast that I'm working on called Beyond the Pixels. It's going to launch later this month. Got quite a few interesting stories. Talked with some of the developers that were fired from Rockstar over the union busting efforts that are going on. I don't know if you've heard of the Nightling, but I've talked with them about kind of struggling to sell games in this indie market. But talking to you guys about Routine, which is a game that I was first covering. I think I first heard about it in 2012, 2013. So I would have been in high school at that point, and now 13 years later, you guys have finally released it. So Aaron and Jemma, welcome. And if you can kind of just give me a little bit of background about you guys and where you come from in a game development background.
I come from like a modding background. I've always like modded and done things like that in the past. Even earlier than that, just making maps in like Age of Empires and stuff like that as a kid. I just loved that stuff, and Quake 1 and Blood and all that. But fast forward, mods were a thing, and then even more, I guess, more professionally, I got a job at a studio here in the UK called Eurocom. Pretty big company in the UK, mostly working on licensed projects for movies and stuff like that. But it did not scratch that itch whatsoever of what I wanted to do creatively, which is why I eventually just quit and just had to pursue my own thing, which is how I met Jemma. And at that time, Jemma was kind of like fresh getting into the game dev world. And she just instantly just picked things up extremely fast and was very, very, very... It's one of those people that just learns quick. You show her one or two things and it's just, it's in. And she can just do it really well. So, and yeah, I don't know.
Well, that must be nice. Every time I think about developing a game and I open up the editor, I'm like, oh God.
No, she basically it was really nice to have someone to, at first it was just see them grow. But now Jemma is just like a genuine like peer and someone that we rely on now internally, and she's got other aspects now that she's taken on, which has saved me and Pete's lives many times, like her production side of stuff that she does, handling loads of things to do with QA and localization as well and everything. And yeah, it's really nice to see Jemma grow in this, the past decade as well. And yeah, sorry, Jemma, I know you don't like praise.
Aaron's just being overly too nice to me, so please ignore him. But I guess the honest answer for me is that my game dev journey has been like 95% routine. So
yeah,
not too much history around outside of that.
Got it. Yeah, man, it's surreal to see this game, and having played it now, and I really dug it. Like working on a separate piece to talk about it a bit more, but just the immersion you feel in the game because you guys went with a complete, no UI that's outside of the game world. Just really, really grounds you in it. It reminded me of, I'm sure you guys took some inspiration from a little bit of Alien Isolation in there and how they did things with, terminals and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just like, having started my games media career in 2009 and started covering routine in 2012, and we're in 2025 now and it's finally here. Like that's a long time. I was just reading your Verge interview where you guys kind of talked about the history of the game a little bit. So for my listeners, if you can kind of give me a little bit of like what your idea was at the start and kind of, why the project's kind of taken so long to make.
I guess that's a multi-pronged question. So I guess initially it kind of spawned from when I left the kind of more traditional, AAA industry, to working on my own thing. It was finding something that I truly loved, something that I had a lot of passion for, something that I felt like I could, at least it would be the thing that would highlight my skill set the best, which was environment art at the time. And it was all about atmosphere and tone and building a world that you could be engrossed in. So that was a big focus on what I felt like I should concentrate on as a project, which naturally led into all the things that kind of inspired me growing up as an artist. Right? I was born in the 80s and a child of the early 90s, so there's a lot of VHS tactility, grime and dirt and just all that greatness that I kind of miss now. I mean, obviously, things are more convenient and very nice and easy to use now, but they definitely lack a little bit of soul, in my opinion, for me personally. So it's nice to kind of try and embrace that and bring that back into the forefront in a world like this. And so that's how Routine was born. It was just born out of pure love for that stuff and wanting to see more of it and feeling like I could hopefully add something of worth to that kind of theme. I think after that it was, I guess, the length. So things is an interesting one, right? Like the project's been in some form or another since 2011, and it's definitely been through different stages. I'd almost look at this as a 3-stage timeline. We've got the initial one, which was creating this game in Unreal Engine 3, where we are basically as indie as you can get. Technically speaking, we're all in the same, living in the same flat still, but we all shared this front room where me, Pete, and Jemma just worked from on this game day in, day out. We had some savings. I had a part-time lecturing job at university for 3D art and 2D art. And all these little things kind of like kept us afloat for a few years. And we just kept stretching it. And that kind of run dry. And we got more assistance from Gemma's family to help us just stretch a bit further, hoping we could get to a point where we could make something happen. It just wasn't working out. We were struggling, health, you're not going into detail, yeah, a lot of health issues. And then that's where it kind of teetered off. And we're in this section now, which is like the second stage, which would be the kind of like black hole stage of Luda software, I would say. And that's where we basically at that point had to cease, or at least heavily slow down anything to do with routine, and just start working odd jobs, bringing in money where we could, freelance, this and that. And eventually working on a small prototype here and there. Maybe it was like the idea of doing a small project that we could get funded from a publisher or someone, that then we could use that funds to then carry on and make routine. But in doing that, that's how we met Raw Fury, showing them this little prototype. They thought it was really cool, but they brought up that we were working on a game called Routine at some point.
Yeah.
Is that something that you want to, return to? And we bit their hand off pretty fast.
Yeah.
And, that was in 2020. That was. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. And now here we are today. Yeah, really, the game's out.
It's racking my brain a little bit of trying to find any way to make this project happen. Just the stress involved with that. And it's almost like I already kind of knew that story because I would reach out to you guys and be like, hey, how's it coming along? And you guys are always very quiet about where things were. It's really, really, truly indie story.
Yeah, I think the quietness comes from a place of we knew we couldn't give anything positive, any positive information to anyone in those like really shit times, and we knew we couldn't give up on routine. So it's not like we could say, oh, it's dead, and then just come back later on in a few years and here it is, because we just couldn't let go. The idea of saying it was done, we just couldn't. So we just kept our heads down and we're just hoping that we could pull this off. We were just hoping we could figure it out in one way or another.
Yeah, this timeline is also very blurry for us because people also often ask us what was the moment when it was kind of, properly on pause or a stop. But for us, we were always trying to make routine and to make it work. So it's very blurry for us. Yeah. We were very fortunate as well to have some support from Epic with a mega grant that really, really helped us. And we're very thankful to them as well.
Mm. Yeah, that mega grant literally came in when we were about to be homeless the next month. Like it came in at the most perfect time that gave us enough time to then start the deal with Raw Fury. Like that bridged that gap. Without that, I don't know what we would have done, honestly. So yeah, big props to Epic.
Aside from, wanting so badly to make this project, like what was it that kept you so committed that you're like, this is going to be worth doing over all this time?
I don't think there was ever a sense of feeling like it was going to be worth doing it. It was it was more out of if like duty almost. We had to do it, and we almost didn't care what the outcome would result in. We just had to do this so we could get to that next stage of our lives. And even when we worked on that small project, it felt wrong. It felt wrong to do that, even though we were doing it for routine. It just felt like we weren't in it. Our hearts weren't in it. So
yeah, no, I can emphasize with that.
Yeah, we just didn't really want to live in a timeline where routine didn't exist. Basically, we just really wanted to commit to it and release it because we knew that even if we had gone on to make other things, regardless of their success, it would just always be there, like we'd wake up every day and be like, we haven't finished routine, and it's just, yeah, we just wanted to hopefully release a good game. And that was the goal.
Was it like interesting all this time of like, because you guys like really over this entire time really have not released that many details about what the game is, what it's going to be about. You had some trailers and all that, and obviously got a lot of reaction. I've obviously been following the game a long time, but browsing the internet, like so many people recognize how long this has taken. Like, are you shocked at like how many people just kind of stuck around for your journey and recognized it?
Oh, without a doubt. I think that's one of the most heartwarming and surprising things that we've experienced in the last few days is this almost, I guess it could have gone a few different ways, right? Like the fact that we've released it is a thing in itself, but the fact that we've released something that people seem to be, appreciating, and it's not, awful. It's kind of like turned out to be a kind of, good job, man. You made it through, and yeah, I guess I never thought that we'd read that, so it's kind of weird. Every time we read it, we're for the last few days during launch, we've been in a stream together for the most part, right? Me, Pete, and Jemma, and we're just sharing things all the time, seeing things like this, and it's just, we're still extremely shocked and appreciative that people have had the patience to be on this journey with us. And maybe that's what it is, maybe it feels like these people have been on the journey as well, seeing comments like, I was in high school and now I'm bald with 2 kids and divorced, and it's like, you see people's journeys, it's like people had entire lives during this period, and we just love reading that stuff. It's made it worth it.
Yeah, that's like routine is, there's a few games that I've covered as long as routine, and like just like routine was I know I interviewed you guys all the way back in OSPs, like back in 20, I think not long after you revealed the game. I think I was one of the first people to reach out to you guys, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just it's surreal. Like this is what I love about like covering games, is like seeing these journeys come to fruition, and like people like finding a way to finish these types of projects. Like it's humbling, one, and then 2, it's just inspiring to see like you guys stuck with it for this long.
Yeah. I mean, people wouldn't know about it or understand anything that we've been on if it wasn't for people like you who've done such amazing coverage, and in not just coverage, but like the way you cover it. Your interest in the journey is really, really, really helpful to us. So thank you for that.
Yeah. When Raw Fury got to see, well, when you guys got to Raw Fury back in 2020, which 5 years ago already. I mean, geez, I had no idea. What did they see in the project that they wanted you guys to finish it? Like that's and not to mention too that you haven't even got into that, the fact that this isn't the same routine that you started with. You guys completely rebuilt the project, which is another whole wrinkle in the story.
Yeah, I think it's definitely there's a slight misconception on what people play sometimes right now, is that people think the version they're playing is literally 12 years of content, which is just not the fact, right? The version people are playing today is the version we had to make from scratch, from the ground up in 2020. So it's actually midway through 2020 as well. So it's more of like a 4.5 year project, I would say. And it's still a long time, obviously, but it was a journey, we had a look very early on whether or not we should be porting, like literally bringing over the art. We couldn't port code. It's a different language. That would have to be redone. But when very, very quickly we noticed that porting that content over and just making it 1-for-1 is not the right decision. I think we sent Raw Fury a build of the Unreal Engine 3 version, and they liked it, and they just wanted to ask, what parts of this is going to stay in terms of like the direction, the ideas, the design ethos in the new version. Like what, and when we talked about what we want to do and the changes we want to make and all that stuff, they were down. They were excited, and I think that a lot of that comes down to kind of the more subtle ways that we express things in the game, the focus on kind of like non-gamey kind of immersion and expectations of what we want from the player, and the, I guess, subtle ways of expressing narrative as well. A lot of those things kind of stay, obviously, in the version we have today and were present in the previous version. So I think that's definitely one of the early things that stood out.
And Gemma, what were your thoughts when Raw Fury approached you guys?
Well, it was, I use the word surreal a lot for moments that are very hard to deal with, but
Yeah.
It really just felt like we could just get another chance to do this, because we were in contact with them to try and find funding ultimately for routine, just not, with routine in that moment. So when they asked, we were like, could it be, could we just skip this other stage and just go straight to, making and finishing routine? So it was it was a great time. Like, it really felt like a rebirth from the ashes, and we were very excited because that's all we'd been trying to do.
Mm-hmm. But then you add in having to rebuild the game from scratch. Like that to me just boggles my mind. Is like, you spent so long on this project and now you got to restart. Did you feel like relieved that you just got to restart on it, or was it like that a whole nother wrinkle for you and just like, oh my god, how are we gonna actually do this?
Honestly, it was just quite exciting because obviously the previous version, we'd already spent about 5 years on it, which I know is a lot of time, but in that time we grew in terms of developers and our skill set, and what we were doing at the start of the project versus the end was like quite different, and you can't just keep going back and remaking stuff. So the idea that we could do it all completely fresh, and we got the unique perspective of, we made a game that we didn't release, and it gave us a lot of insight as to what we felt really did work and what really didn't. So, we used that in this next version to make a better version of what we had initially attempted to do. So for me, it felt very exciting and rewarding to have that opportunity to do that.
And so did Raw Fury then, like, you said you showed Raw Fury the Unreal Engine 3 version, and like what is so different between that version and this version of what you're making? Because I know in the Verge interview, it sounds like you guys kind of got caught up in your own scope of the original version, and just like you said, you're adding too much that you couldn't finish.
Yeah, there was a lot of bloat in the original. It was a lot of content for the sake of it, rather than smart, elegant decisions.
And I guess not to interrupt you, but like, what was the original version routine? Because from what I know, I read it was a little bit of a walking simulator, but the original trailers kind of made it seem like it was going to be more of a survival horror type game.
Yeah, so I guess very originally, because it was just me at the start, there was a lot of like, what can I do without, I'm decently comfortable technically, but I'm not a programmer, right? So it was, what can I do within my limits? But it didn't take long to get a programmer, and that for that, I guess, world to kind of open up and with more mechanics and ideas that we could explore. But yeah, originally it was a bit more de-restery, style feel to it. But it didn't. That was, I'd say, a few months. It wasn't long. The moment we were able to start thinking about the game having interesting mechanics and ways to interact with the world, we were looking at, we explored a lot of ideas, and I think this still gets thrown around today. Sometimes people mention that the original version was a roguelike, which kind of never was. I think we mentioned a few times that we were inspired by rogues, and we would love to do kind of like some more random generation in some areas, but not to the degree that I think people expected. And we quite quickly dropped that aspect. We kept parts of randomization, so even to this day, like, every code in the game is randomized. You'll never, all that stuff is randomized. Later in the game, there's a puzzle with symbols and stuff. All that stuff's randomized.
That's randomized too.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed when I finally, like, I read the instructions on the puzzle and I kept getting it, and then I'm like, I read it the wrong way. and I finally got it, and I was
Yeah.
tearing my hair out.
So this is an interesting one, right? I think because it's a game, we
Yeah.
see the idea of rotating something differently. In the real world, if you was to write, like, put a code on, like a symbol on the left-hand side and you rotate the paper, you understand it's on the right side now.
Yeah.
In the backwards. So
Something about just adding it as a game mechanic.
Yeah.
Brain a little bit.
But that's part of the reason why we added it, because a really important element of the designer routine is using pretty simple logic that's in front of you. Like, it's not necessarily we don't use extremely complex elements when it comes to puzzles. We just expect you to kind of just slow down and just believe that it's kind of like a straightforward process. And it probably is. And I think so. People are so used to gamified puzzles that are great, amazing. But we just, because of the type of world routine was, we wanted to strip back that and ground it a little bit more. So when we took away the UI and started looking at how we did puzzles, it was actually very, very difficult, because we definitely could have been more fantastical with some of the puzzle elements. But every time we did that, it just felt wrong in our world. So that's why there's more like weirdly kind of simplistic logic puzzles.
Yeah. The rewiring of your brain that you have to go through of, I can't click start to go to my database. I have to go find that computer and type in the database to get, the memo that tells me what I'm doing.
And again, that's so early on with like, oh, we just put the PDA on the cat that you walk around with. But because there's so much like emphasis of paying attention to the environment themselves, we wanted to add that back into the space so that you concentrate and feel the space that you're in more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been loving games like that recently, because it feels like, I think, and I've written about this a couple times now, like UI and menus and loot menus and all that have just become so overburdening. So like one of my favorite games this year was Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, because so much of the stuff you do is just in the world. Like, oh, you need to find footprints. Well, you better look at the ground and see where the footprints are, look for the blood, and it's not going to just highlight it with some X-ray vision and all that.
That's really cool. I can't wait for Kingdom Come Deliverance. I backed the original one on Kickstarter. I've got the physical copy from that Kickstarter, and I've not played the first one or the second one, because we've banned a lot of games because we're working on routine until we finished. So.
Yeah. Did either of you play Blueprints this year?
No, I've not played anything.
Obviously, Thunder Ross is the developer of that, and he too worked on it for 8 years or so, and just hasn't played anything. I'm like, man, you guys missed a whole generation or two of games.
No, yeah, honestly, he's lovely, and Blueprints is definitely, literally every one of our friends that have played it are just like, guys, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's incredible. So getting back to kind of restarting routine then. So you kind of talked about the original vision. Obviously, you guys kept a lot of like the visual elements, and I think the UI seems to have carried over from that original version. Any other like really major changes?
Kind of lost track there.
That's okay.
So the UI itself, I know you mentioned Alien Isolation before as a bit of an inspiration, but obviously we did that UI before Alien Isolation was a thing.
Yeah, right.
But the inspiration came from Doom 3. The UI interaction in Doom 3 blew my mind when I first played it. I absolutely adored it. And it's always been hard to play with any other UI in games when I saw that, because I just love the seamlessness of it. Like, it was just clean. And so very early on, I think the very first features we put into routine was the full body awareness aspect, where you could look down and see your body, the dead zone aiming, where you just when you aim, it's not locked into the center of the screen, and then the computer interaction. And they were like the first three core things. Oh, and the cat, sorry, before that. Yeah, it was the idea of the screen on a tool. And it was like, that was the core features that we just kind of ran with, and we keep them to this day. But yeah, in terms of how it differs, I would say that the cat itself, we realized that it was definitely being a first person game and the main character not having like a strong identity. We viewed the cat as basically our main character, right? It was the thing that you see and interact with the most. And in the original one, it didn't really have any depth. There was like, you could never bring it up to interact with features on it or anything like that. And the modules for the most part had like a mostly one use type function. so coming into this new one, it was really embracing that this thing is a piece of hardware, and figuring out how can we make it feel like that, not just say it is, but make it feel like that. So adding like almost tertiary features, like the idea of turning off the cat, while it might not have a strong purpose, just having it there in itself for you to turn it off and turn it on again, already in your brain subconsciously, it feels like this. There's almost like a redundant features that are on the side that just adds depth and layers to it that I really appreciate. You don't see a power off switch on a gun, for instance, right? So you've got this separation as well when you do stuff like that. But then there's other things too, like a degauss thing, which is our like environmental hazards without hurting the player. It kind of hinders the tool, which is our player. So it was really kind of like doubling down on the cat. I'd say that's one of the biggest changes we did, was just taking the cat, running with it, making it way cooler and more interesting. And then stripping out all the bloat, the environments that didn't add anything to the experience. That stuff was extremely time consuming, and it really was not like, I'd say it just didn't add anything to what we wanted people to feel. It now in the version that people play today, every environment kind of has a purpose, either if it's narratively or an experience, or even picking up a tool that is, a new module, it's got a purpose. And so we try to just focus it on that. And if it was outside of that, we try to give it a good critical look of, is it worth it? So it would be more refined, solid experience, and then more depth to certain areas too. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add to that, Jim?
Yeah, I guess a early feature in the UE3 version was permadeath.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted that initially for there to be real consequence in the experience. And it's very immersive, I guess, if you can actually really lose your save file when you die. But when we were developing routine, we just found that what we felt like was working in routine that we really liked did not mesh at all with permadeath. In fact, it just brought the whole thing down. And for us to make that work, it just wasn't something that we wanted to tackle. And that's why it's also not present in the current version. And that was definitely a big difference between the two.
Yeah, I love the cat hardware game is, I guess what I'll call it, because when you do play like a first person shooter or something like that, or especially in like a survival horror type game, you need to change your ammo type, or you need to change your firing rate or anything. It's just clicking buttons on your controller. And this, for anybody that's listening that hasn't played it, like you literally pull up the hardware and you have to click the button to change the function of it, and that adds a lot of tension of like, something's coming after you and you don't have the right module on. You got to pull that thing up and flip it like you would. And it just adds a lot of immersion of having those little buttons and things to mess with. And it reminds me of like, a lot of immersive sims like Prey from 2016 of like the recycling machine. And you literally have to take things and put them in the machine. And I think like a lot of games miss those little functions that add so much more, as you said, depth to just being in the world. And I wish more games would do that instead of like giving me, the blocky menu layouts, even though I understand, the limitations of, animation and all that kind of stuff that adds so much time to make those little things happen. So I really like that you guys did like scope back and focus on those things. I do have to ask you, so in the very beginning of routine in its current form, you do you make really big note of like the full body control, which I think is more unique than people will probably realize. But I do have to ask, like, did you guys plan to do more with it than you were able to by the end? Because I know like a couple of the features, like you can get down on your knees and look for things, or you can like peek over corners and all that. I don't think I use it too much in the game.
Yeah. So there's multiple reasons for that. This come down to a lot of the puzzle design, and some puzzles featured that a little bit more later on, but when we had the whole level flow in there with some of the major stuff, it started to not feel like it made sense anymore. Like we were just adding another one, and the pacing was off. So some of those just sadly just didn't make it.
Yeah.
One of those being one Jemma fought for a while. So I'm sorry, Jemma. So there's definitely some things like that kind of just sadly just didn't make it, and just out of. But yeah, it's definitely something that we explored more with. But also because we want to support controller, we still haven't figured out a really, really smooth way of being able to do that. On controller, it's a lot more difficult than I would say on the keyboard and mouse, personally. Like it's fine, but in the ways that maybe we would have wanted to have pushed it, and maybe it was asking too much of the controller to do that in certain scenarios. So, and with everything else we were figuring out, it was hard to invest in figuring that kind of downfall part.
It was a mechanic that I hadn't really thought about before, like being part of a puzzle thing of like having to get on your tippy toes to reach something. Because you think about that in like VR, but not in, a standard game.
So again, this comes back to, I think the game that I used a linear system like that was the Wolfenstein New Order. I think had it. Mm-hmm. And I loved it, man. I love just peeking down a little bit and shooting people in the feet, and and you just got those little areas. And I thought it was fantastic. I used it a lot in that. So yeah, because originally the lean was Q&E, kind of more traditional, lean left, lean right. And the good thing about that is that you can move while you do it. The version we have is that you can't move, but you can go in all like directions. So we're not necessarily a tactical shooter, and we didn't necessarily need you to move around while leaning. So it probably would have caused more issues, right? If you can get as low as you can to the ground that we can in routine, good luck trying to block off areas that feel like you want to slide under, but you can't. Like you're already low as it is. It's not necessarily crouch in the game. It's more of a crawl that you do in routine.
Yeah, it was, there's one, it's like, I don't know if I call it a puzzle, but it is almost a puzzle of the one time you have to use that lean mechanic to push through a hole to see down the hallway.
Oh yeah.
It took me, once again, it fooled me because it took me too long to like think about, just train my mind to think, oh yeah, maybe I should lean to see what I need to see. That's the whole thing this thing is here for.
Yeah, it's strange. Like I've watched a lot of people come across that, and it's honestly 50-50. Some people just get it straight away, some people don't. And the people that do get it will struggle on another puzzle that the other guy obviously instantly gets. So it's very, very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how games can do that to you. Just like these simple mechanics that you don't use often, and it's like, and you don't even think about it. I guess
puzzles are extremely hard to make, so a lot of respect to Blueprints.
Yeah, I felt very small talking to him. I'm like, I don't know how you thought about like just piecing these together, and like your entire game is a puzzle, and it all has to wrap back to one main puzzle. Just no. Yeah. So talk to me a little bit more about the business side of this then, because obviously starting this in 2012, indie scene way different than it is now. And now you got Raw Fury on board. You got a publisher to sign routine and sell it. And like before, 2012 through probably up to 2020, I would have said like routine surefire hit if you guys really do a good job with it. These days, not so sure because there's so many good games coming out and just not finding their audience.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. We've had this discussion internally over many years, where at some points we're like, we should have just released what we had back in 2015 or whatever it was, right? Just do it, even if it wasn't that great. Just do it. It was a good time for it, right?
Yeah, you guys really. I mean, like that trailer alone sticks out compared to so many games back then. Like you guys visually looked advanced back then.
Thank you. I appreciate that, obviously. Massively. I think trailers can sometimes be a little deceiving, right? Like,
yeah,
we've got to present the experience, and to the outside person who doesn't know the whole project, it will look like, oh shit, everything looks like it's ready to go.
Right. Yeah.
But there might only be a little bit more than what you're seeing there that's actually ready at that same level. There's probably a lot of more content that is just very unfinished at that stage, right? So yeah, it's a weird one. The whole market change and how things have just developed over the past, over a decade now at this point. Again, like I think I said this before, that like it almost doesn't matter how routine does to us in a lot of ways. We just had to do it to move on. Obviously, the ideal world would be to make enough money to work on something else. And I think that's kind of most devs' goals, right? Is to be able to keep going. So as long as we're able to do that, we'll be happy internally. And that's what we're really pushing for.
Yeah,
it's not another 10-year project.
Yeah. So you say right now. Yeah, I mean, your guys' almost entire life is based around this project because you guys met, and according to the Verge article, you're in a relationship now. So it's just like a lot on the line for completing this.
There is, but at the same time, not at all. Right? I could have been working, another job, and I had a lot of great offers back in the day for environment art positions in really nice studios that I wanted to work at. And I could foresee that, like, just doing that, I would just be working on other people's ideas, working on really cool stuff, like, no doubt, like really awesome stuff, but not in a way that I would get to explore the things that interest me. I would rather fail at doing this than do well somewhere else that isn't my idea and our goals. And that's fine by me. I'm okay with that. I only live once, so give it a go.
I think it was just the attempts of just trying to do it and releasing it and not really thinking too much more beyond that. And that's just been enough for us. And we were happy with that.
Yeah, it's so long to spend on a project. I completely understand like your take on it though, Aaron, because like that's how I've been my entire games media career. Like I don't want to do other people's projects. I'd rather not work in games media at all than have to not control my own destiny. Which what happened with the Escapist, and now we're here at Second Wind. Like we got our second shot in the arm too. So just it's always interesting talking to creators, just and the passion that people put into projects and like how much you're willing to just kind of suffer to make it happen.
Absolutely. I mean, Jemma will probably echo this, but our fondest memories are just when we're all just in a call together, just crunching on routine. I love it. Like we work most weekends. It's like just the way we are. A weekend isn't a weekend. It's a day. It's the same as a Tuesday. It's the same as, okay, so that's a Street Fighter reference, but, wait, is it? And it's just one of those things where when we're all just working hard and on a thing that we love, it's genuinely just the greatest time. It is, because it's our baby. We just every hour we put into it is just it could be one of those things that when someone finally plays it, they're like, that thing right there, that thing that did something for me. And I'm in the gaming industry because I love games. Same as Jemma, we grew up playing games, and to actually give back to that industry, to put something in there that maybe one day someone will play and it will impact them in a similar way that a game impacted me as a kid, that would just be literally all I'd ask for, And so yeah, it's not hard working a lot on something you love like that. When it's your own baby as well.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Except for the work-life balance part.
Yeah, we don't have any.
You gotta remember to go buy toilet paper.
And I would not. Sometimes I think it comes across wrong, like I'm suggesting other people should do this. Not at all. This is just what I want to do, and it's what I love. But I would say always try to work on and do something you love. It's always rewarding.
Yeah, and I would say that while we felt every low and some of them were grueling, we also get to feel every high. When you put so much into something and it's your own thing, and the highs will always outweigh the lows. So if you can just persevere, it's always worth.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Have felt that through my own journey too. Google screw you over one day, and then the next day, you have a video completely take off, and it's like that euphoria of like fuck. It's like worked really hard on this. People see it. When remind me, we were talking right before we started recording about the re-reveal, and was that at the Game Awards or what showcase where you guys were revealed at?
The Summer Games Fest.
Summer Games Fest, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that moment. Just kind of re-revealing this thing to the world.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was honestly terrifying because at this point we'd been quiet for multiple years, and obviously we didn't deliver the game. We didn't communicate things, and I know that would have upset, frustrated, and let down a bunch of people. And also, time had just frankly moved on, right? We had no idea if anybody even cared about routine, if any new people would care about. Thank you. And it was very scary. We didn't know what new and old people would think of it. So it was a very, very nerve-wracking time for sure. It was terrifying.
Yeah, my team makes me laugh because I'll remember like the most random things from social media. Like Nick's gonna remember like, but every $5 or $5 every time Nick's remembers something from social media. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like some things just stick with you.
Honestly, it was. I can't count all the years now that we were dark in between. When we last talked online to when the re-reveal happened. But
you can go look at your Twitter DMs. I'm in there probably a few times.
But that re-reveal was some of the most intense. Getting things together for that as well. Like I've the amount of work I got together for that trailer to be done on time as well. I made a doom calendar, I called it, right? Which is basically everything was just, my God, a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
And so there was an immense amount of crunch on that, on getting that together for that point. And obviously Jeff being awesome, giving us a place to re-reveal like that was a huge, huge help. And yeah, when it went live and we saw there was like a subreddit thing that was basically inactive for many years. Every now and then you'd get people saying, any news guys, or you'd get people posting their makeup routines. But on that day during the re-reveal, it was like, the Office gif where it was like everyone coming into the, like, it's happening, guys. And it was like the people welcomed us back, that's what it felt like. And it was nothing but good energy from that point. And we just, it's great.
So
and obviously just the button, watching your reaction to that on the stream, seeing you kind of just hear that little Luna Software kind of like startup sound just hidden away.
You were so confident in it as well. You were like, without question.
That's why I get laughed at.
We saw that on the day, right? And we were very busy at that point, but we saw that on that same day, and it meant a lot to us.
That was this weirdo still recognize this.
Yeah, you are weird for recognizing that.
I laughed at it for this all the time because like I cannot tell you the lyrics of any song. I can't tell you any pop culture facts, not shit. But you can show me like one little piece or one little sound of a game that I'm interested in, and I will remember it. I don't understand why, and I will never be successful at any other job because.
Well, it genuinely made us extremely, extremely happy, and honestly quite emotional. I'll be honest. So,
yeah,
thank you.
That's awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was emotional seeing it. It's like I've kept tabs on the project all these years just because it was formative for me too, covering it because that's when I really got into covering indie games. As when I started seeing like these projects coming out and. There's still a few that haven't come out, like Little Devil Inside. I'm waiting to see that re-reveal for the third time again.
I am with you on Little Devil Inside. I cannot wait for that game.
Yeah, they did that Kickstarter. They've got a publisher. Sony revealed it. I'm like, where the hell is this thing?
Please, devs, please.
Just a sign of life. Well, now that routine's out, like, what's next for you guys? What's your next plans? You gonna rest for a little bit? You gonna not crunch for a few weeks?
I mean, the main plan was always to go to sleep.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the
That's
number
fair.
one goal. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Our lives have just been routine for so long. Like we would always say, "Oh,
Nice pun.
after routine," and now it's kind of here. It's we're a little bit lost, but we've got a lot of exciting ideas we would love to explore as well. So, just very hopeful for the future. We'd love to just keep making things. Is what we would love.
Yeah, the after obviously an initial rest of, because we have never taken a holiday in 10 years. Like we've never,
Yep.
you know, if we were able to take a holiday, that would be lovely. Before we start whatever it is we do next. But yeah, we've got a hell of a lot of ideas we've written down over the past 10 years. And some of those have kind of like we wouldn't do now because there's certain games that have come out that kind of like have taken that have done really fucking good, and we're like, damn, that's a good game. And we're like, we can't compete with that. So it's like,
Don't say that. Like you guys, what, 3 of you worked on this, and like the visuals are up there with like everybody else.
I appreciate that, but it's like,
yeah,
it's not necessarily about the visuals for the most part. It's about the experience, regardless, right?
Absolutely.
Like, and if someone's just nailing that experience, regardless of polish, regardless of anything, they've nailed it. And I wouldn't ever want to step on those, and try and go there. But yeah, there's a lot of ideas we have and things we want to explore. We'll be smart with our direction of whatever it is
We've
we do
learned
next.
a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
In this journey.
How can you not after all this time?
There might be a chance where we do just some fun, small experimental things for a bit, just while we get back into things and stuff. So there's a chance we might pop out a few tiny little fun things before we do something like major again. But
what's like your biggest takeaway from working on this project all this time?
For me, it would be, don't work on something that you don't really love. I think if we couldn't be committed to this, I'm not sure where we would be now. So I feel like for us, any project we do in the future, I have to have that feeling. Otherwise, there probably isn't much point unless it only takes a week. That's okay. But yeah, my takeaway would just be like, has to be something that you're just going to stick to when everything else is gone dark,
And like you guys keep kind of saying you're not really financially driven by doing this, so it seems like you find the project you want to work on, you will find a way to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, and my views change on this a lot over the years, but
yeah,
I've always been like, just work on the thing that you're most passionate about all the time, blah 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 blah. But it's been hard, man. Over 10 years, it's been hard. So like, I get it when people want to work on something that is a bit more like, this might bring in some money, because that might give them the then creative freedom to then on the next project do what they want without absolutely doing it in the trenches, So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of. I've looked at that now rather than I was very rigid before. I felt like, but
yeah. Well, that's like a lot of people give the the friend slap genre a lot of flack, but it's like, you can work on a game like that and it can fund whatever passion project you want if it takes off. And it's like, why not make it? If people like it and enjoy it, what's the big deal?
Yeah, honestly, because like those studios now, the ones that actually get good return on that, they're set up now to do what they want, and that's
a lot of them are going off and
wonderful.
funding other people's projects with that money too.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Aggro crab.
Yeah, so there's always like absolutely amazing takeaways from that that I don't think I talked about that much. That is lovely. It's great.
Yeah, it's what the mobile game industry used to do. Remember, I don't what Flappy Bird came and went during the time you guys were making routine. And that guy just quit because he was getting too much attention. It's like, this is too much money for me. I don't want this.
It was a different world back then.
Yeah, I'm sure now he's like, maybe I should have stuck with that. All right. Well, any final thoughts to share on just kind of this journey?
I
Any games you're looking forward to really playing next?
Oh yeah, there's a hell of a lot. I mean, me and Gemma are going to play some co-op games over Christmas because we never get to do it.
You gotta play It Takes Two.
Yeah, It Takes Two. Honestly, it looks great. We wanted to play. I can't remember the name now. The prison one that they made as well.
A Way Out. Yeah.
Yeah. Want to try that out. But yeah, no, I think we were looking at games like a few co-op games like the original Divinity. We've not played that yet. Outward, Total War, Warhammer 3.
Okay.
A few things that I want to sink our teeth into over the holidays. Oh, Monster Hunter Iceborne. We've not done that yet. We did play a World just before we started routine. This version of routine, we played World, and that was a phenomenal game.
Oh yeah.
But I personally just want to say thank you to everyone that had the patience. Really, not just like the awesome people on like our subreddit and Steam and everywhere that you know the people that have been with us so long, but also people like you know that keep believing in us and was able to see us through to the end. So I appreciate that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and for me, just thank you to everybody that makes great things, that makes great games. Anybody that waited for our game, thank you, and anybody that just plays the game, thank you, because that's why we did it. So that feels great. So thank you to everything and everyone.
Absolutely. And where can people keep in touch with you guys on social media, and where can they get and play routine? You guys even got a Game Pass deal. You made it.
So yeah. So routine obviously came out yesterday on the 4th of December. We're on Game Pass. We're actually on Xbox One as well. We had to do an Xbox One port with UE5. So that was a fun optimization journey we went on. Yeah. It's it actually was really helpful because we focused a lot on keeping routine quite smooth and clean from the get-go. And people see UE5 and they think nanite, lumen, all these new features, but we actually bake our lighting still, you know, like the same way we've always done it, and things like that, and still get, you know, pretty nice, you know, solid visuals. And
yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I want to say, like, obviously I want to plug routine and everything, but I would feel a little bit odd plugging my own game. But obviously it's out now on Steam and Xbox platforms and Game Pass.
And they can follow you guys on Twitter and Blue Sky at
Luna Software, probably. Yeah. Yes. I think you
guys are routine on Blue Sky, I believe.
Right. Yeah. That's run by Raw Fury, and Raw Fury are obviously awesome social guys, keeping us all like sane because it's a lot to manage. So
yeah, 100%. All right. Well, Aaron, Gemma, thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Beyond the Pixels, and yeah, wish you luck with whatever project you guys do on next, and let's make sure it's not 10 years before we talk again.
Well, thank you for your time, and if it is in 10 years, this is not going to age well.
Well, we will clip this part and put it on social media for you, keep you accountable.